Alright guys, welcome back to Ceti Planetary Crisis. We are completing the final cycle of the 8 cycles. This we'll just see what shakes out. This is a solo mode playthrough, showing you the solo mode and showing you how the solo AI works, and giving you an idea of the actions. So let's just jump right into it. First thing we're going to do, we're going to make sure we move the markers so we know we're on the last cycle. Now again, we could opt to play to 10 if we wanted a longer game, and then you can roll a dice, and on a 4, 5, or 6 you could play to an 11th. If you wanted to go from an 11th cycle to a 12 on a 5 or 6, you can do that. Really, it's just how many cycles you guys want to play. I'm going to stick with the standard 8, because I think at this point I've shown you just about everything that I could possibly show you. So first phase, remember, is the Enlightenment phase. That is the where we figure out what crisis is going to happen. And for what is possibly the first time in this series, I'm actually going to remember to pull the cube out before I even start anything. So I'm shaking the cube up here, the cube bag. This is the bag where we put all the cubes in at the beginning, and it is silver right over here. So if we have a crisis occur, it will happen on the gold, which is the Kiar homeworld. So if you remember, at this point, hopefully you do, we're going to take one card of each crisis and specialist. We're going to use those, and we'll put them over here. Then for each AI player, we are going to draw a single card randomly. This one is the Junans. When we do that and play that card, that gives them 3 energy. That's going to put them from 21 to 24. And for the Azarians, shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Grab a random card. Commit it. And we're going to give them 3. They are currently at 17. They will go to 20. Alright, then it is our turn. So if you remember from last time, when I did a recruit action, I did get this nuclear card, and from, gosh, it was cycle 1 or 2, it's been so long I don't even remember at this point. I have this advanced card that would let me get rid of the crisis, a nuclear or geophysical crisis. If it occurred. I think since this is the last turn, last cycle, I'm going to go ahead and use this card. It's worth 1 to me right now, but potentially it could be worth more than that if I can do it. So I'm going to commit that. That's going to give me 3 energy, which is going to take me from 13 to 16. And that's the only card I'm going to commit. Actually, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to go ahead and commit this other card. You get some additional things for interplanetary missions and additional dial logistics and industry checks, but at this point, if I can end up with just enough energy, I'll make it to the +1 galactic point on my track. So I'm going to go ahead and commit that and make it 19. If I get to 20, then I get +1 galactic point. So we'll see if I can make that. So that is those are my 2 cards. Yep, that's what we've done. All right, so let's shuffle these up. Not looking at them. Let's see what we got here. All right, blast. Okay. Man, that sucks. Alright, so we have 2 cards here that are specialist cards, or advanced cards and action cards, don't matter. That leaves us with 3 crisis cards, and since we have 3 and no specialists to get rid of any of them, the one with the highest number takes precedence. So it is another atmospheric crisis. Remember, this happens on Kiar. And it says all command ships on the planet or in an adjacent sector incur a damage to their propulsion. In this case, there is none, no command ships anywhere. So that damage does not occur, but we do draw an atmospheric crisis. We drew the atmospheric crisis, and it affects military. So we're going to place that on the home world of Kiar. And military, we're going to move that up. That's going to take military from 3 to 4. That is unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. I was really hoping to get that nuclear out, so that basically just lost myself a galactic point. But it is what it is, right? Okay, so that takes care of that. That's the end of the enlightenment phase. The beginning of the action phase. First things first. As a human player, I have 3 cubes on my planet. That means that I generate 15 resources that I can split between Tau and energy. I'm actually gonna put. Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not 15. That's 20. So I'm definitely gonna put 10 into energy because that will put me at 29 and give me a galactic point. I think I'm gonna put another 5, so a total of 15. So that will take me to 34 energy and 5 into Tau for 6. At this point, I don't know that I will be doing a lot of things that involve money. We'll see. So that's what I'm going to do. Next, we're going to take the commodity tokens on each of the planets from the previous round. We're going to take them off, adjust the markets, and then we're going to put new commodities out and raise the markets. So we'll just start over here on Kiar. That's the algae. That takes it down by 1 from 4 to 3. Logistics with octo nano fluid. It's going to go from 3 to 2. Military. The plasma is going to go from 4 to 3. Diplomacy, telepathic generators, is going to go from 3 to 2. Technology, the nano processors, is going to go from 3 to 2. And another diplomacy telepathic generator is going to go from 2 to 1. So that is all 6 of the items there. Let's put all these back in the commodity bag. This is our commodity bag. Put them in here. Give them a good shake. And you see my hands moving there. Pull out 6. I'm not looking. Placing. Oh, there's 4. 2 more. 1, and I got 1 extra one. 2. Okay. Drop those on there. Alright, so let's start over here. Industry goes from 1 to 2 with this. Algae goes 3 to 4. Yikes. Diplomacy goes from, what is that? Science. Oh goodness. This right here is science. Diplomacy goes from 1 to 2, and then it goes from 2 to 3 with this one right here. And military goes from 3 to 4 from here, and logistics goes from 2 to 3. So as it stands for the last cycle, we have science at 4, we have military at 4, we have technology at 2, we have logistics at 3, industry at 2, and diplomacy at 3. So that's what our market's going to look like for the final turn. Now remember also, because I am the human player, AIs do not get this, but because I'm a human player, I will get a commodity that's on my planet. In this case, it's a telepathic generator. When I look at my board, I actually already have 4 of those, because if you remember, that was one of the items on my objective card that I was trying to get those, so I wanted to get those early. So I've already got 4 of those, so we won't do anything with that. Right. So I think that's all I'm going to do. Now, I'm looking out here, trying to decide what to do. I'll tell you what, before I do that, talk about that, let's go over to my player mat, and I'm getting ahead of myself, and check out my player mat, and let's see what actions I can take for my final turn. Alright guys, I'm on my player mat here. So I've got some options. I really have, look at that, I've got 2 atmospheric and a cosmic knowledge token. There is an atmospheric, 2 atmospheric, and a cosmic crisis out there. The problem is, so one of the options that I could have is I could turn in 2 tokens to get to the Galactic Depot, 2 of any token to get a token of whatever I want. And so there's actually, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this before, there's actually 2 ways to resolve a crisis. The first way is to have a single token and a specialist card that matches that token and have a crisis out there. That's probably the more common way. The second way is a little bit different. You can use, if you have 3 of the same knowledge tokens, then you can resolve the crisis as well. So I have 2 atmospheric and 1 cosmic, but in order to get another atmospheric, I'd have to give up one of my atmospheric ones, and then I'd still only have 2. So that's not really going to help me. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do, I think. And if I had thought about this earlier, I would have put more money in Tau so I could attempt to get a lot of specialists, but I did not think about that, so there you go. That's where I screwed up strategically. Anywho, let's see. The first thing let's start with is let's attempt to explore over here. Make sure we can see it there. Yeah, let me move this up just a little bit. There we go. Let me explore over here and see if I cannot get another cube out there. If I can get a cube out there and build an orbital, then that's going to effectively net me 3 more points. 1 point for the cube that'll go to my planet and 2 points for the orbital. And that'll also potentially be a knowledge token over here. Where I could actually maybe take a resolve action, but it's really going to, I'm kind of hedging my bet on being able to complete this. Gosh, okay. Let's do it. It's the last turn, right? My last action phase. So, I'm going to take an exploration action. That costs me 2 energy. I go from 33 to 31. And we flip this over. And it is another cosmic. So I'm going to go to my deck of cards over here. Remember that deck? I'm going to search for the first cosmic that I run into. There it is. And we're going to pull it. See what we got. Alright, it says, let me lay this down here. Your team locates a set of ancient stone tablets conveying information about previous cosmic events. Use your diplomacy skill to unlock the origins of the tablet's message. Diplomacy. So I'm looking over here, and logistics and military, if you remember, are my diplomacy, are my 2 advantages. So that means I'm only going to get 2 dice. This is risky, especially if I don't get it. Now, if I can do this, then I could potentially turn in the 3 atmospheric tokens to resolve a crisis. So let's just see what we get. Oh, alright, I did not do it. I'm going to spend 2 tau, which is going to take me from 6 to 4, and try this and hope. No. Oh, man. No success. Flip this back over. And, yep, that's an action burn that I won't get back. Wow, that really stinks, guys. Because now, alright, I think, alright, let's, this is kind of a Hail Mary. Let's take a recruit action, which I'll look on my sheet. Currently, my materials marker has a 3 underneath it, and we'll multiply that 1 for recruit. So this recruit's going to cost me 3, which takes me to 1 tau. I'm going to pull 1 specialist, 1 crisis. Let's just see what we pull. And I've got a chemical crisis and a nuclear specialist. Now, the good thing about this is that most of the crises are worth 1 galactic point. A lot of the specialists are not. Advanced cards are not. Action cards are not. So this is actually worth 1. So I just basically spent that 2 tau to gain 2 galactic points. So that's good. I really wish I could have resolved a crisis. I don't think we've resolved any crisis, have we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We should have resolved 1. How does that math add up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Believe I have at some point in time either somehow managed to skip a whole turn, or I don't know. Anywho, I don't think I did that though. I must not have put 1 out. I'm so far into it at this point. There's no way to go back. Tell you what. Here's what I'm gonna do, just to, in the interest of fairness. I'm going to pull a random card from this deck, because there should be, we have not completed 1, so there should be 8 out here. So I'm going to pull a random card from this deck, just cut it in the middle. Biohazard. So we're going to put a Biohazard Crisis out, and I'll also pull a random cube from the bag. On the blue planet, another Biohazard Crisis on the blue planet. And that would affect science, which is already at the top. Okay. So now we have the appropriate number of crises. I must have put 1 up at some point and just not caught it. My apologies. This is like I said, this is the first time I'm doing any of these kinds of videos, and there's really a lot to keep up with here, especially with the filming part, so I apologize for that. Alright, so that's my second action, is a recruit action. What to do. I can't afford to recruit again. I don't want to sell or buy anything. So I think what I'm going to do for my next 2 actions, actually, is I'm going to refuel twice. And what that's going to do is that's going to let me go from 21 to 31 on the energy track, and going into the 30 plus range, go to the 40, I've been saying it wrong, go to the 41 range. Going into the 41 range gives me another galactic point. So let's do that. That completes my turn. I am now officially done. So let's go to the AI and see what happens. So we're going to pull the AI cards, get our cards out right here. Let's put this back over here. There we go. And results right there. Alright. We'll start with the June. Now remember we did, starting last episode, I figured I had made a mistake, so we're going to be going for things in this column over here to the left. Since we took actions in the left-hand column on my player action, with my player action markers on my player sheet, my player board control panel there. So that's where we would normally pull from, but again, remember, Juno has a ton of damage. So actually the first thing we have to do is we have to try to repair the damage. They currently have, based on this here, they currently have 5 damage. So, and they only have 5 tau. They would need 10 to repair everything. Now in this case, they do have a galactic, they do have a knowledge token. So we're actually going to turn that in as a minor action for them, because they're going to try to do everything, and again, this is on the BGG form, they're going to be trying to do everything they can to complete their action. So by turning that in, that's going to take us from 5 to 10 on the tau track. Okay. Then, because we have done that, now we calculate, we have enough to pay for the repairs. Remember, if they were on a planet, it would be 1 per point of damage. Because they're in space, it's 2. So that means 2 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 10, which means they use all of their tau to repair, and they have no money. But they are undamaged. Not sure how much that's going to help them or not, but they are undamaged. Okay, so that's the first action. Then it says explore. So now, remember the explore action, pay cost and place the AI ship in the lowest sector number with unexplored tokens. The lowest sector that they're in right now is 1, but that has no unexplored tokens. So now we're going to look for the next one, look and see if we have a 2, which we should have somewhere, yes. So they're going to move from the 1 to 2. They are going to roll for damage with the asteroids. Oh, they failed their roll for damage in the asteroids. Which means against their computers, which is a 1, roll a 2, so they're going to take 1 damage to the computers. At this point, it doesn't really matter because it is the last turn, but we'll put it there. So that's explore. And we're exploring, remember, we're exploring either route. So we'll say a 1, 2, a 3. This one closest to him. These 2, a 4 through a 6 will be those 2. And we got a 4. So we're going to be exploring down here at the bottom. So we'll flip the first one over. It is chemical. Chemical. Look for chemical. Alright. Chemical is logistics, which uses, fortunately for them, one of their comparative advantages with logistics of 3. So we're going to take 3 dice. We're rolling. It says, an abandoned starport reveals galactic maps of ancient trade routes. Use your logistics skill to read the maps. So remember, on a 5 or a 6 is a success. And then we'll add those together to see if they get any additional tau or potentially lose some energy. So, alright, they failed. They have a 7, 4, Plyria 7, 1 is 8, 0 to 8. That's minus 2 energy. That's going to take them from 24 to 22. Okay. And that will flip back over. And remember, the AI always explores both points if there are 2 points. So they're going to attempt to explore the other one, which, ironically enough, is another chemical. So we're going to again look through here. There's a chemical. Should go to the bottom of the stack here. Again, it's logistics. What you're going to notice is that most of the cards, for instance, chemical, is generally going to be logistics. They're all going to generally be something else, but they do have 1 or 2 cards that do vary it up a little bit. But so those kind of tokens are a little bit easier. So that is a strategy. Is you may want to, especially if as you're playing, the other players flip over a token that you know that you've got that advantage for. You may want to try to find a way, which is a reason why you may want to upgrade, say, propulsion, so you can move 4 sectors to get to that token, right? So I know I have not done a lot of upgrading, just the weapons, but there are strategies that definitely upgrading is a considerable help. So we'll roll again. Again, we're looking for a success. Wow, they got that one big time. That's 16 with 2 successes, so they definitely get the token. So we take the token. This token is going to go to their player mat. And they rolled in the 9+ range, which means they're going to get 2 energy, which is going to take them from 22 back to 24. So that they really haven't lost anything for that. Put that card back. That is their exploration. Next, they build. So actually, in this case, we do have a cube down here. Now, again, remember, if they have a way to generate tau, like in this case, because they have 0, they're going to take whatever actions they need to take in order to make it happen. So as a minor action, because they have no tau, they're going to have to get rid of this token here, turn it back into the Galactic Depot for 5 tau. Put that 5 tau back up there. Then they're going to build. If we look at their materials marker, it's currently at 2. So it's going to cost them 2 tau to build. Times 2, right? So that's actually 4 tau total. So they're going to go from 5 tau to 1 tau. The green cube goes on their planet. An orbital goes here. And that just scored, 4 points. So that was good for them. Kind of sucks for me. Alright, so that's the build action. Recruit action, they would have to pay 2 tau. They do not have 2 tau. They do not have a way to generate any tau. So that's going to complete their turn, because they did start the turn with tau to be able to do that. So that completes the Junans. Lovely. Alright, let's take them off here. The final play, the Azarians. Let's see what they can do. They do have damage in the lab, so they are also going to follow this left-hand column, this repair action. It says if damage is greater than 1, repair all. In this case, they only have 1. They are in space. It's going to cost them 2 tau, which is exactly what they have. So that's going to go to 0. The damage comes off. And pay cost, which we just did. And then explore. So they too are going to be moving over here. Same place the Junans are. They're going to roll. They take damage. That was a 4. And their computers are a 4. So actually, because they had upgraded their computers, they took no damage, even though they failed. So that is, that is a plus. Now, I will say, it's not. I do not believe it's in the official errata or FAQ yet, but there has been some talk in the forums about extremely damaged ships. And during playtesting, Joseph Picus noted that a lot of people would immediately repair their damage, but depending on how you want to play, you don't necessarily have to repair your damage. If certain key systems like propulsion, can still get you around, then you could just, if you weren't attacking, then what does it matter that your shields or your weapons will be damaged? Right? If you don't care, if you're just rolling skill checks, it doesn't matter. So one of the variants that they've talked about doing potentially is for every 2 damage on your ship, right, it may cost you an additional tau to recruit. So if you have a heavily damaged ship, instead of saying, let's say that you've upgraded it all the way to the top and it's just going to normally cost you 1, but you've got 6 points of damage on your ship, well then that's actually going to cost you 4, because you get 1 additional tau for every 2 points. That's with 6 points of damage, that's 3 additional tau. So now all of a sudden it becomes more attractive to repair your ship, to spend time doing that. Because I mean, who wants to sign up with somebody that's got a busted ship, right? That's the idea thematically, but that is not an official rule. That's just a variant that we talked about. I would play with it on my own. If I'm playing with a group, I probably will play with it. I think it's a good idea. It makes sense thematically, and so that's something that I will do. But in this case, that's not true, so we won't do that. But I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of that. So we're going to explore, and again, he's going to explore down here. Now, I think in this case, what makes the most sense is they're going to explore what would get him the most points. So I think it's only fair that he explores the route that only has one left, which is the chemical. As we saw with the previous turn, there's a chemical card. We have logistics. All right. Your spectrometer picks up an unusual signature coming from cargo ships on the other side of the star system. Use your logistics skill to determine if it could be interference from an anomaly. Logistics, we look at the player mat for the Azarians. They do not have logistics as a comparative advantage. Therefore, they will only be rolling 2 dice. And again, we're looking for a 5 or a 6 as a success. 0 to 8, they lose 2 energy. If they get more than a 9, they get 4 tau. So let's just roll and see what happens. Wow, that is ridiculous. Okay, so they got 2 successes, and they got a 10. So first things first, they get this chemical knowledge token. We'll put that on their player map. Then, because they have completely explored this route, we're going to take one of their cubes out of the bag and place that there. All right. And so that takes care of that. And then they're going to get 4 tau because they rolled a 10. That's 9 plus. So that's going to take them from 0 tau to 4 tau. And that completes, we've resolved everything on this card. So we'll put that back in our stack. Wow. Then it says after we explore, we do an interplanetary mission. It's the third action. So here, this is a transportation mission. So we're going to go from Zorkon, which is right here, to QUR. Wow. Right beside it. That's only 1. Now this would have been if this had been a better transport card, would have been amazing for them, because if we look at their player map, they've got a 4 cargo, which means we take the distance that we've traveled. So in this case, and not counting the starting location, but all the sector, the shortest distance between that hex and the indicated hex. In this case, the shortest distance between Zorkon and Kiar, which in this case is 1, and we multiply it by our cargo score. Their score is 4, so they're going to get 4 tau for that. Let's say that it was 2 or 3. I mean, that could be 8 or 12 tau just for that one thing. And also, when we do that, they move to the planet that they land on. So in this case, Kiar. So they're over there. They got 4 more tau, which is going to take them from 4 tau to 8 tau. And that is going to complete that card. It's going to cost them 1 energy, which they can pay. And they're going to go from 20 to 19. Okay? Which is good. Now, normally, if we were playing multiplayer, the way interplanetary missions work is you're actually going to pull more than 1 card. If you take an interplanetary mission, you're going to expend from the interface whatever it costs to do an interplanetary mission. So in this case, it's -1 energy, so that would be another energy that they would lose. So that puts them at 28. Then you would draw 3 cards and choose one, and then put the other 2 at the bottom of the deck. Basically, that you have to choose one that you can do. So you have to be able to pay the cost. Once you paid the cost to take the action, you have to be able to pay the cost on the card. So in this case, if I had drawn, let's say that they had 0 energy for some reason, and I had drawn that card, they would not have been able to complete that card because they wouldn't have had the energy to pay. So that would have been not good for them. You just remember too that with these, especially with the transport missions, if you would move through, like let's say, is there a good example here? Yeah, let's say that it had gone from Juno to Atolus. So that would be 1, 2, 3, right? But you'll notice here's some asteroids in between these. That's the shortest route. 3, 4. Yeah, the shortest route's 1, 2, 3. You would not have to roll any sort of checks for asteroids or cosmic energy if it went through those tiles. Okay, so you do not have to worry about that on an interplanetary mission. And you do a normal move action, you do have to worry about that. All right, but on interplanetary missions, you do not. So that's their interplanetary mission. Now their next thing is recruiting, which they can do. All right, because remember, now they've got some money. They just made some money. So look on their sheet, on their player mat, faction mat. The recruit cost is 2. So 1, 2. That takes them from 8 to 6. And remember, in the solo mode, they pull 1 crisis and 2 specialists. If we were taking that action, it would only be 1 crisis and 1 specialist. So we're taking those. And, yep. That's it. I'm going to look at the Explore action. Yeah, I didn't think so. When we took that Explore action, they did not have any cards, because every time you explore at the end of your exploration action, you're supposed to check to see if the AI can resolve any crises. They could not. So that's it. And that, my friends, is the last action turn for the Azarians, which are the last people to go in the 8th cycle. So we have completed this playthrough as far as the Enlightenment and Action phase goes. The only part left to do now is the scoring, and I want to take a few minutes to do this and make sure I get everything. Alright guys, here we are at the finale. Oh, need to put that back over there. I forgot to do that. So wow, the end of the game. I hope you guys have enjoyed this playthrough. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to catalog the points, tally up the points, and we'll see how well I fared against the 2 AIs, the Junon and the Azarian. So I'm going to go ahead and do the AI first to determine their points. I've got my reference sheet over here, so I'll make sure I get this right. First thing we're going to start with the Junon. We add 5 tau for each knowledge token that the AIs possess on their tracks. We do that for everybody. So the AI Junons do not have that. The Azarians do, so that's going to raise their track from 6. They had this one here. That's going to raise them from 6 to 11. Not enough to give them any bonuses, fortunately. Then we determine our normal galactic points. The only difference with the galactic points, the AI does work a little different in that they get 2 galactic points per card in their hand. Alright, so let's take a look. Let me just move these out of the way here. I'm not going to use any advanced rules, okay? So there are potentially rules for crisis on your planets, the market level, what level it's at compared to your advantage. There's all kinds of stuff like that. I am not going to use any of those. I'm just going to use the basic straight rules just to keep it simple. Let you guys discover those rules for yourself if you want. So here's the cards. Let's start with the cards. This is probably where these guys get the most points, is through these cards that they've got. So crisis and specialist cards. These guys, the AI is going to get 2 points per card. So the unit has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. That's 14 points just from this. Alright, then we're going to look at their tracks, energy and tau tracks. They do not have anything on the tau side, but they do on the energy side. That's worth 1. So that's 15. They have on the upgrade track, they do get 1 point. That's 16. Alright. Then we look at their cards. Their leader card, that's worth 1. That's 17. They have this token, which adds 1. That's 18. So that, I believe, if I've scored that right, is 18 for the Junon. So that takes care of them. Alright, cool. Let's set them over here to the side. And let's look at the Azarians next. There we go. So we'll do the same thing with them. First thing we're going to do is we're going to calculate their cards in their hand. Let's see here. Let me make sure that I get these written down, because I do not want to forget while I'm doing this. Alright. So the Junons had 18. Junon. Okay. Alright, so Azarians have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They also have 7 cards. That's 14 points for them. They do not have anything on the tau track. They do not have anything on the energy track, so that's still 14. They do have 2 points on the upgrade track. That's 15, 16. And they have 1 for their hero, their leader. That's let's see. Oh gosh, 14, 15, 16, 17. Then they have this marker, this -1 marker, so that puts them down to 16. They do not have any cubes or orbitals. Neither does Junon. Junon did not have any orbitals anywhere. They had a cube in space, but not on their planet, so it does not count. So they are also, wow. So they're at 17 for the Azarian. Okay. So now let's see what we have. So first things first. And let's see here. Let me put let me put my objective cards over here, because that's going to count as well. I may have done really well. I think I might feel pretty good about this. First things first. We're going to take our knowledge tokens. We're going to get 5 tau for each token. We have 3 of those. That's 15. 15 plus 1 is 16. Unfortunately, that's just a few short of giving us any points. But that's alright. Put these over here in their stacks. There we go. Right, so the first thing I'm going to look at, I'm going to start with my objective cards. It says I need, for this one, 4 technology, 4 plasma, 4 gold. There's the plasma at 4, the technology at 4, the gold at 4, so I get 3 points for that. This says I need technology, gold, and telepathic generators, 4 units of each. I have that. There's the 4 of those. So that's 6 points right there. Awesome. Then I've got 3 points for my energy track, none for my tau track. So that's 6 plus 3 is 9. I have nothing on my upgrade track. 10 for my Captain Estella. 11, 12 for these tokens. So that takes care of everything on my board. So that's 12. So now it's going to come down to orbitals and cubes. I have 2 orbitals. That's 3 piece. So that's 12, 15, 18. 1 up here in the asteroid. That's 19, 20. And then 3 points for each, 1 for each cube on the planet. That's 23. So I believe that is everything. So guess what, guys? We actually won. Sweet. The last time I did this, I actually played. It's been a little while, but I actually played on my own, off camera, with all 5 AIs. Let me tell you, that was madness. Ton of fun. A lot to keep up with, but I did it, and I was about middle of the pack on that, so I did a lot better this time around. So 23 points, 23 galactic points wins us the game. Now, I'm just going to tell you, if we go to the scoring, and let's assume at the end of the game, let's assume at the end of the game that we use these advanced rules. So one of the advanced rules, the advanced rule 6, is you deduct 1 point for each crisis on your planet. I would have had to have deducted 2 points, and then the other one is deduct 1 gold galactic point. I keep saying gold. I mean galactic point. Deduct 1 galactic point for each level with your alien race's comparative advantage that was raised on the Ceti exchange during the game. So my comparative advantage, which is my first advantage, is logistics. Logistics is at level 3, so I would have had it. That means it had been raised by 2 from 1 to 3, so that's a difference of 2. I would have had to deduct 2 points. So if we had been playing with the advanced rules, I would actually have to deduct 4 points from my score, which would have made it 19. And I think having done that, I still would have won, but just barely. But that's just if you wanted to use those. Like I said, just that's an option to play with. It's really neat because it does, if you don't use the advanced rules, then if you don't resolve a crisis, the only thing it affects is the exchange. If you do play with the advanced rules, and you're going to get penalized for the stuff on your home planet, you're going to be spending a lot more time really trying to get rid of those crises. And to be honest, if we review the name of the game, Planetary Crisis, that would make sense that you want to get rid of those. So that's the end of my playthrough. Final score, standard score, 18 for the Junin, 17 for the Azarian, and we were on top with 23. I hope you guys have enjoyed this playthrough. I've had a blast making it and playing the game again. Played this several times off camera on my own in various numbers of AIs, and just playing through actual like a 2-player game to learn the rules. But I hope you enjoy it. Check out Outer Limit Games. You can check them out at their website. You can check them out on BGG. They are already talking about expansions. They haven't released any specifics on what the expansion will be, but they are talking about it. You may be able to find a few copies in retail. It's going to be really hard because they had a limited print run. But if you do like the game, let me know. Drop me a comment. Drop me a thumbs up or something down there in the comments below, and I can do another one. Do a little bit different. Like I said, I'm going to try to get a group together and we're going to play. I think I may try to stream it. Just to do something different. I may try to stream it, but play for you guys this with players. Like I said, you've seen all the actions and pretty much how it works. The only thing we didn't really cover is combat, but really combat's super simple. All you're going to do is each of you at the start of combat is going to place your shield markers over the system that you want to protect, depending on the level of your shields, and then when you roll, if it gets hit, then that system's not damaged. It just takes that marker off. So that's how that works. But I'll let you discover that for yourself. And alright, thanks guys for watching. You guys have an awesome day. Remember, go play some games. Get your game on somewhere, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.